what's up and welcome back to my channel. Now today I'm going to be giving a review for what is easily my most anticipated movie of the year, Star Wars Episode 8 The Last Jedi, or you can just say Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now I kind of had high expectations for this film going in, so I kind of knew that I probably wouldn't enjoy it, but at the same time, it did kind of like let me down to a certain extent, but overall I think it was a pretty, like solid film, and I know after seeing it like more times, because I do plan on seeing it again, I'm sure it kind of grown me a little more, and I get like a better understanding, more things and stuff, will come together more, to complete the overall story, But I do feel like this film left like a lot of loose ends in it, but overall I thought this was a pretty solid film. Now first of all, I do think that the previous film, Star Wars The Force Awakens, I actually thought that one was actually better than this film, and I was actually directed by J.J. Abrams, whereas this particular film was actually directed by Rian Johnson. So you have to actually get acquainted with this like new director, so I think that's what kind of threw it off, because I think like his pacing of the film was kind of different than what J.J. Abrams had did, But overall, I thought he did a good job on this film, It is definitely a Star Wars film, It's very similar to other Star Wars films, But I think it does have like a lot of flaws in it. And it is very similar to Return of the Jedi. It has like a lot of like similarities between this one and Return of the Jedi, It's like you could tell they're definitely really like borrowing stuff from Return of the Jedi. It felt very like close to that film. Certain like battles, or certain things that they were saying, or certain moments in the film, I feel like were very similar to Return of the Jedi. But anyway, I guess you could say that the bulk of the film, how it begins, it picks up right after the events of The Force Awakens. So like right off the bat, like say when The Force Awakens ended, this film starts right after the end of that film, because you have like a space battle going on, like with the Resistance. I'm not going to spoil the film too as well, the Resistance is on the run now from the First Order, who have found their location, and they're actually aiming at trying to destroy them on the planet that they are on, So they actually have to get into like, like the transport vessels, and leave this planet because the First Order is on the way. And while you have that going on, you have Luke Skywalker, who is meeting Rey, on the island where he's located at. She found him at the end of The Force Awakens, so they're finally meeting, She explains to him what is going on and so on and everything, So you have that going on too as well. Now eventually, while all this is going on, you have Finn who reawakens from being like in this, I guess you could say, coma type state, And it turns out Finn has to team up with this lady known as Rose Tico. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. And they have to actually go on this mission, but they actually have to stop the First Order from pursuing like the Resistance, because apparently there's like this new technology in this film, dealing with like hyperspace. How the First Order is actually capable of tracking, the Resistance like in hyperspace. While they're in hyperspace, they're actually capable of tracking them while they're in light speed, And it's like a new kind of like technology thing that's going on in this film, They're hitting that, in this film. So you have Rose, who has to team up with Finn, and they have to go to this casino planet known as I think Canto Blight, and they have to seek the code breaker who can actually find a way to stop the First Order from being able to track the Resistance, with through hyperspace light speed. Basically, that's one of the things I thought was kind of off about the film, and I feel like it kind of dragged too much in those elements, in those scenes, in my opinion. But overall, I guess you could say what the bulk of the film is about. You have like Kylo Ren trying to get Rey to join him, Rey trying to learn from Luke Skywalker like the ways of the Jedi. And of course, Luke Skywalker, he doesn't want to do it, But overall, what this film itself really was about, I believe, in my opinion, was the idea that the Resistance themselves are constantly on the run from the First Order. So you can say actually that's what the whole movie itself is actually about, that the Resistance is constantly on the run from the First Order, But then you do have like other things that are going on in the film too as well, like Luke training Rey, and it's like a lot of things, I felt like they left kind of unresolved, but obviously there's going to be another episode, because of course we all know this is the second part of the new trilogy, of the sequel trilogy, So of course, there's going to be more, so that's why you could tell that was the reason why they left a lot of things like unresolved, and certain things I was kind of confused about, but I'm not going to touch on too much because I don't want to spoil the film itself, But overall, the film when it first opens, I thought this was like fun and like very entertaining, like the space battles they have, like the moments like especially like when Luke finally sees Rey and stuff like that. It picks up right after the end of The Force Awakens. That moment, like the chemistry between those two characters, I thought was like cool and awesome, And Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, you know, you can still tell he has like that kind of like humorous side, but he's still serious. I like the way he plays Luke in his film, you know, and it kind of borrows like elements from like the expanded universe, which I thought was kind of cool, even though they still consider a lot of that stuff like non-canon now, you know. But once the film gets like to the second half, where Rey has to travel with Rose to Canto Blight, the casino planet, you know, to find out how they can stop the First Order for tracking the Resistance through like hyperspace, you know. That's where they meet Benicio del Toro's character. Yeah, his character is known as DJ, and of course he seems kind of like shady, you know, to a certain extent. You don't know if you can trust him and so on. You know, he seems like any kind of like typical like kind of, I guess, your character that kind of bees like in Star Wars films, you know. But once it gets to that part of the film, I feel like that's when it was kind of like dragging, you know. And plus, I feel like this time, like Kylo Ren, who was again played by Adam Driver, I thought his character was kind of a letdown in this film too, as well. You know, he wasn't as good as he was like in The Force Awakens. I know a lot of people really don't like the character of Kylo Ren. I know a lot of people be complaining about him, you know, but I thought he was a cool like character, you know. But this time I feel like he was kind of like a step back. He seems like much weaker in this film, you know, like the things that's going on with him, you know, it's like, it doesn't feel like, you know, he was much better in The Force Awakens, in my opinion. Even Adam Driver's performance as him, I thought was better in The Force Awakens itself, you know. But the chemistry between like Luke and Rey, the chemistry between like Rose and Finn, I thought was pretty good, you know, everything. And I like this idea of like this hyperspace like technology going on throughout the film, where like they the First Order is capable of tracking the Resistance through like a light speed, and that's something I think that they never really touched on like a Star Wars film, because it's actually a big part of this movie, not to spoil it, you know. And I also thought the character of Snoke, who is voiced by Andy Serkis, I believe it is. I thought his character was like a big letdown. I'm not going to spoil it, you know, but I really thought his character, you know, I feel like he wasn't really, you know, I don't want to touch on it too much because it kind of ruined it, you know. But Supreme Leader Snoke, I was kind of disappointed in his character, you know. And he seems kind of very similar to like Emperor Palpatine, you know, but it was still just something about it, you know. He wasn't really what I thought. I'm glad to see that he wasn't really that size, you know, like I was thinking, you know. I mean, I didn't think that he was, like a lot of people thought he was really going to be that huge, you know, he really wasn't, you know. So I thought that was kind of cool. But you can kind of see that in the trailers too as well, you know, you can see, you know, even I think like the action figures they had too as well, you know. I thought the performances in the film, everybody played their character kind of, you know, to I guess to their best, you know. Daisy Ridley as Rey, Daisy Ridley as Rey, you know. I thought she was pretty good in her role, you know. I thought Mark Hamill was good as Luke Skywalker, and I was the character I was most interested in seeing, you know. I feel like Adam Driver as Kylo Ren, I feel like he was kind of a letdown this time, you know. He was still like decent, you know, but I thought he was a letdown. John Boyega as Finn, I thought Finn was good, like he was like in The Force Awakens. I thought he was a good character. Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron, he kind of stands out in this film, but I still don't think he was as good as he was like in The Force Awakens, but he did kind of stood out in this film, you know. I thought, now the one I thought was kind of interesting, had like a bigger performance this time, seemed like it was General Hux, who's played by, I think, Domhnall Gleeson. I thought he kind of had like a better performance or a better role, or his role was larger this time than it was in The Force Awakens. So you could tell he's kind of more closer with like Kylo Ren's character to a certain extent. They have their little like brawls, you know, but he's still kind of more with him, you know, this time. You have Anthony Daniels returns as C-3PO, you know, so I thought he was good, you know. And of course, we know this is Carrie Fisher's final like film, you know, as and her last performance as Leia Organa. I thought was pretty good too as well. I thought they did a good job of her in the film too as well. Like the look of her and everything, I thought was like stylish and cool, you know. Now another character they introduced in the film was Vice Admiral, I think Amelan, who's played by Laura Dern. Now her character I thought was okay, you know. I don't want to touch on what she was really there for, you know, but she was there, you know, she's with the Resistance and so on, but I don't really want to touch on what her character was. But it wasn't really, you know, all that, you know, that was hyped up to kind of be, you know, I thought it was okay. There's also like some hidden treats in the film too that I'm not going to spoil, that I thought was cool, you know, and kind of nice, you know, and awesome, you know. But like I said, at the same time, it's like the film, it kind of started to go down once it got to like the second act of it. I thought that's when it started to kind of like drag, you know. I feel like, you know, it was just going on and on, and it had to be all this, you know. But I thought director Rian Johnson, I thought he did a pretty good job on it. You know, this is like a Star Wars film. It feels like a Star Wars film. It looks like a Star Wars film. We get to see these new planets, you know, and so on, you know. So in the end, I'm kind of like hesitant on what I want to give it. You know, and this is a long film, and I was okay with that. You know, I've been in this is the longest Star Wars film. I was okay with it. But in the end, you know, I'm be aiming at giving this a B minus, because I'm definitely gonna be seeing this again. It might actually get better to me then, you know, it might grow on me, you know. So I'm kind of skeptical still, but I'm just aiming at giving this a B minus right now, because I know The Force Awakens actually got much better to me, you know. But I did really like that a lot when I first saw it, you know. But overall, I'm giving this a B minus, you know. And this is my review for Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Please leave a comment and subscribe too as well.